Welcome back to your favorite podcast. That's right, the Resilient Entrepreneur Podcast. This is Kevin Johnson of Leverage Consulting, and I've got a question. I bet you this is a question you've never been asked before. Did you have a bad day? Have you ever had a bad day? Well, interestingly enough, in the last few podcasts, I have talked about what has made certain people within my social circle, what has made them successful. I'm a people watcher. I love watching how certain people succeed and how they go about it. And sometimes certain people have very unique capabilities, qualities, and then there are certain things that I would say would be themes across numbers of people. And I ask you, did you have a bad day or have you had a bad day? And I will tell you, today is Tuesday. If you're listening to this as a brand new podcast, the day it was launched, today is Tuesday. And I will tell you, most everyone I know, I'll say 75% of the people I know or had contact with on Monday, yesterday, most of them said, oh, it's been awful. Today is totally a Monday. And interesting, I participated in some of that myself. It was an interesting day. I had a calendar, scheduled productivity, and it just did not turn out the way I expected. Not the way I wanted in any way, shape, or form. One simple, really goofy, small thing turned into an hour and a half to 2 hours of my day, probably. Didn't need to, but it did. And I'm sure you have had days like this as well, where you get to work or you get out of bed and it seems like one thing right after the other. And you wonder sometimes, is it just me? Am I the only one that experiences this? And as I said, there were people who I had scheduled calls with, people who called me out of the blue. There were people that I called who were having a bad day because somebody else was having a bad day. And sometimes as I said, sometimes you have to sit back and wonder, does it happen to anyone else? And the answer is absolutely. It happens to everyone. And it really does come back around to, how do we react to this? What do we do with it? And I will tell you, the first part of my day, first part of a few other people's day I know, it did not go well. But what do you do with that? Do you allow it to affect the rest of your day? Do you allow it to affect the people around you? And, sometimes we think maybe we're doing a really good job of hiding it. And I will say, most of you don't do a good job hiding it. Either you might be that warm and bubbly personality that everyone loves to talk to, and today you're super quiet. Or you're that person who's an absolute just, you have such work ethic and nothing gets in your way, and today you're just sitting there staring at the wall in disbelief that today is happening to you. There may be days where, you can see it in other people. And, you observe it in others, they observe it in you. And when you think about the people in life, the people that we know, the people that we may see, like Elon Musk, he's tried to send rockets into space and some of them have blown up. I would say that's a very bad day. Millions of dollars spread all over God's creation out in the ocean somewhere. It's a bad day. If I sent $1 million into the air and it blew up, I'd probably be a little upset too. However, with anyone who's had any major accomplishments in life, they have their bad days. And they find their way to get around it. They find their ways to not allow it to affect themselves or other people around them. And even if your bad day just persists, if it's literally the whole day, and I will tell you, before this podcast, I actually went out to my weather app and I looked just to see, because I don't even know. I haven't even looked lately. Is it a full moon? Is it a new moon? Who knows? Nope, it's a waxing crescent moon. So we can't chalk it up to that. But it was just a weird day. All kinds of stuff happened to me, other people I know, and the successful people in life take those things and they package it up. Think of it as like wadding up a piece of paper and throwing it in a trash can before you leave work. There, it's over, it's done with. I'm not even going to take it home. I'm not taking it even in the car with me. I'm just going to wad it up and throw it in the trash, and I am done with it. And when you come back to work tomorrow, ideally you're going to walk in there with an absolute clean slate. Whatever happened yesterday does not affect me today. The only way it's going to affect me today is if I've learned something from yesterday. And maybe it could be as simple as, well, that's how I reacted to that, and I can't do it again. Or something happened, and I'm going to set something in place to where that will never happen again. But we have to learn how to get past it ourselves, and we also have to learn how we don't allow it to affect the people around us. Because we could be that person that's bringing the rest of our team down. And mind you, some of you may say, I don't have a team. But if you're an army of one, you have other people in some way, shape, or form that work with you or for you. So even if you're an army of one, you have people that feed you business, or they bring things to you to do or fix or something, and how you interact or work with them can affect them, and it can affect how they bring things to you. They might literally just come by and almost like a drive-by, they throw it at you because they don't want to talk to you. Foul mood, or it could be something where when we have those people that are around us that are supposed to leverage us, they're supposed to make us more productive. They're part of our team. Maybe they're there to leverage us in the sense that maybe you're not the warm and bubbly personality. You're the get stuff done personality, but you've hired the warm and bubbly personality. And if my attitude is affecting them and bringing them down, then they're not as effective. And if they're not as effective, guess what that does for me? Brings me down even more. So we have to recognize those bad days. And when you get in a really good place, and it may be something when you do recognize it, take it a step further. If you get in a really, really good place with your team and they have the permission to tell you. And it was kind of funny because today someone was talking about themselves and they were having a really bad day. And I said something along the lines of, hey, Betty White, do you need a Snickers bar? And if some of you remember those commercials where I think it's Danny Trejo or something. I know I'm butchering the last name, but I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. He plays in a lot, usually like a gang member or something in some of these movies. And he always looks like a tough guy. And he looks, in one of these commercials, he's having a really bad day. And that one actually it wasn't Betty White, it was Marsha Brady. So it's like, hey, Marsha, are you in a really bad mood? And, he bites off on a Snickers bar, and all of a sudden it's like, all better. And it's kind of funny because in a way that would, you could have things like that where you have the sign, you need a Snickers bar, because it's a way of telling somebody else, maybe you need to change your attitude a little bit here, or you need to do something different and get through this. So, I made the comment, do you need a Snickers bar? And, and in the end, we laughed it off. It was funny, because it broke the tension. It broke the weirdness so we can actually get back to work and having fun. So, sometimes, like I said, we need to find that way. Hopefully, in an ideal world, you recognize it in yourself, and whether you need to put yourself in the corner and count to 10, or you need to walk outside and get some fresh air, just something to break the cycle and come back to productivity and not looking at literally everything. If your computer freezes on you and then suddenly you pick up your pencil and the point breaks on your pencil, or your pen's dry or something, and you blame it on the universe. No, it's just, it's coincidences. Stuff happens. Smile and move on. But though, you think about, again, what makes people like Elon Musk and some of these others so successful? It's because they have those bad days and they keep plowing through. If you think about even mathematically or statistically, yes, that's right, I'm geeking out on having a bad day. But you think about doing the math, and people love to talk about cryptocurrencies and how I'm going to 5x this and 10x that. Well, I can tell you right now, you can 5x and 10x yourself if you just stay consistent even through your bad days and continue to work. Because when other people are having a really bad day and they're working at 20% of their capacity and you're still working at 110%, you figure out the math on that and figure out what the X is on that one. So As I said, think about when you are having that bad day, how you're going to go about breaking your cycle, or even better, if you trust the team around you, figure out a way, a comfortable way to where they can tell you you need a Snickers bar. So with that said, as always, if you have other content, other questions you'd love for me to answer, please feel free to drop that in the comments below or send me a direct message. Love to hear from you. And as always, or as I've said in the last few podcasts, I'm going to be bringing you a few other best practices and things that I see in other people that make them super successful.